Hello YouTube, RoninKaze. Manhunt on the Division or rescue mission on the Division. That's Caesar, everybody. He's tired of me recording, but Caesar, that's just tough. I'm doing the final mission on the weekly manhunt, which is the rescue mission. It's the first one of the rescue missions. This first part is pretty straightforward, but you're going to see using the Vile Jammer build that I use a lot, that I'm going to fight this in a different way, which is going to give us plenty of time to talk. What happens if you're at a job that you don't like? What happens if you're in a situation that you don't like? Well, I'm going to offer you one possibility on how to handle those kind of things. And that is to kind of still do your best, exceed what needs to be done, and really go all out. Why? Why, Ronin? Why should I give them? Exactly, because you're not giving it to them. You're giving it to yourself. You have a personal brand. You have your own integrity, your own values. You're not going to let someone outside of you define those values for you. This is a shitty place to work, so we just expect shittiness from you. Who wants to be part of that? That's obviously why you don't want to be there. So don't be there. Be who you want to be. I'm not going to say something as dress for the job that you want, because that doesn't matter. Unless it's a fashion job, then maybe it does matter. But the quality of your output of your work, what your written standard is and how you exceed your written standard, whether the place you're working for is good or not. On this part, timeout, I'm going to run upstairs and set up right on the other side of these stairs. I'm going to put a turret out, so as they come up the stairs, they're going to get smoked. And I'm going to Vile Jam. So if you're in a relationship and you don't want to be in the relationship, and for whatever reason you can't immediately get out of it, don't start cheating or doing some other things, because you have to live with all that. But what if who cares about the other person? Only person we can control is ourselves. That's kind of what the last two videos were about. They're about that someone can't persuade you to do something that you don't want. So it's up to you to seize control of your situation and be the person that you want to be. It's hard not to sometimes define yourself by your job. This is what I do for a living. This is who I am. And it's hard not to do that when it's something that you want. You finally are at the place that you want to be, and it's not as good as you thought. I'm going to start. I'm not even on their same floor, and I'm going to do damage to them. That's the power of this build. So, of course, you're going to look for other jobs. Everyone knows to do that. But I'm going to ask you to just do the best you can and take that time at those places to learn skills, to do everything, so you make things better for yourself. Conversely, stop working extra hours. No one's telling you to now work extra hours. That's not the same thing as doing your best. In the time from start to finish, you give it, you be totally present and be there. And then when you're gone, you're gone. And if it's one of those places that demands extra and you don't want to be there, why would you give them extra? But then but you don't want to be there anyways. What happens a lot of times when you're a manager, you want people that are going to do the job. You want to fire and forget. So there's a continuum of management. And it coincides with the level of the employee. An employee that first starts is highly motivated, but doesn't have a lot of skills. So in that phase, if you're matching your managerial style to that, you're going to coach them. You're going to coach them right up. I beg my pardon. You're going to just be directive. You're going to tell them, here's what you need to do. When they get to this second level, imagine a square, and we're in the lower right now. We go in the upper right. They're an apprehensive beginner. They kind of know what to do. And now they're going, oh shit, there's a little bit more. Then they need the coaching there. So that's when a manager should come out and kind of work with you, show you what you need to do. You got this. Also teaching you the ropes on what to do. The third area is when the employee or you know exactly what to do. You're very proficient in your job, and now it's just your attitude or your mental state. And in that part, the manager is not telling you ever what to do. Your manager is going, how you doing today? Is everything going right? So they change their style to match that. And the fourth phase an employee gets to is where they're highly motivated and highly skilled. And then you're just delegating to them. The problem for managers is this. All managers just want to delegate. They just want to get to number 4 and say, just do this. And then they don't want to give you any direction or anything else. But what happens as an employee, you go back and forth through that continuum. Sometimes you pick up a new skill, even though you're highly proficient, but now they're giving you a new skill. You were doing payroll, but now they're having you do the taxes, right? So that's a new skill. So you go back to this beginner where you need a lot of direction, exactly how to do that. And you can see that a lot of times. I'm sure you've been in workspace where a person, more veteran person at that place gets a new assignment and they're asking for a lot of direction. They don't want to tell. They don't want someone to tell them where the lunchroom is or the bathroom or how to fill it. They want to know how to specifically do this job so that they can ramp back up to that point where they're not going to have a boss in their shit all the time. But bosses seldom want to go back down. And most managers are bad managers, so they don't know to go back through this continuum. So what to do? If most managers just want to delegate, that's Caesar. He's bored with this topic as well. I'm not bored with it, YouTube. If most managers just want to delegate, then the place where you're going to be most least a pain in their ass and most freedom is going to be when you're highly motivated and highly skilled. So by you always trying to go in that fourth quadrant, you're always going to have advantage. This is a time when I'd like you to subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe, share, like, get the notifications. I'm going to ask a favor. I'm trying to get to 500. 1,000 seemed, 1,000 subs seemed like it would never happen. So, but 500's within reach. So if you can help, I'd appreciate it. At 500, I'm going to start recording this type of stuff with, I'll put my face on there. Not that maybe that's going to stop you from getting 500. I don't know, but it'll turn more into the podcast or a video cast or whatever they call them. So getting back to what you should do in this quadrant, this management quadrant. You're not going to have a lot of good managers wherever you are in the world, unless you're in New York City or LA, unless you're at a big company or an industry leader. You're probably not going to have the best managers. Even if you're at one of those places, the best managers usually aren't above you. The next thing is you might have a leader, but we talked about management, leadership. Leaders inspire you to do things, they'll inspire you to go through the wall, but they have no idea on when the next federal holiday is and how much leave you or how much vacation time you have. They don't care about that thing. They care about this big vision. A manager cares about that. Don't forget you have next Tuesday off. I notice you have 40 days saved up. You might want to start use some of those days. Why don't you have a 5-day weekend and couple it with that? You can't tell me what to do. Okay, you don't have to do that, but you got to start using your days or you're going to lose them. That's what a manager does. So you're at a place you don't like. Mentally make a note of all the managerial behaviors that you can't stand. Ask yourself, how'd you get here? What did you like about the job when you first got there? And what soured it for you? What was the point where it soured? Could anyone find fault with your work, the amount of work you do? And this is an honest thing. I've worked with people that don't do a good job, but they lie to themselves and they're like, yep, I'm one of the best people here. Can't help you. You're probably not watching a video like this. You're the kind of person that probably says that Vial Jammer isn't the best. Might not be the best, but you're the kind of person that says it's hard to make a Vial Jammer build. This is too difficult. This because you're just not honest with yourself. I'm beating this whole map on heroic. Where's the enemy? Oh no, they're just dying. And I'm safe. Not the most exciting, but very effective. And that's what I'm telling you in your work life. You don't want to be at the place you want. I hear you. Be the best on top of person. Know the rules and reg better than anything. Then what happens is you transcend your work environment. It's real easy. But sitting around saying how crappy the place is and all that stuff, that's good. That's kind of like eating chocolate, but you know, you can't only eat chocolate. It's okay to say that, but then the next thing is just make the job the best that you can make it. If you're a forward-facing job, i.e. you talk to customers, why shit on those poor people that are coming for services? Why not do the best for them? If you're making a product, don't make defects. Make the best product. My part's not defective. It might get defective down the line. You can't change those other people. You're not their manager. You can only control you and yourself. And this is kind of what the last two things are. This is another way to persuade people about how you are, who you are, is when they see you through your actions and how you hold yourself. If you're consistent. Do you change and change the story that favors you, or you're pretty consistent? This is what we should be doing. This is what I'm doing. There are times on jobs that you're just going to have to do what the people tell you. I understand that. That's not what we're talking about. That's what a job is. If you're in the military, you get that. You don't even think about that because that's the price of admission, is that you're going to take orders from people. So I know it's a tough spot. I know there's a lot of jobs as we fluctuate back between having come to the office jobs and remote jobs. And I know the tide is switching back away from remote jobs. But the thing is, your boss doesn't think you're working in the office. They don't think you're working at home. They just don't think you're working, which is something wrong with them. The last part I'm going to tell you is this. When I was in the military, when I was an officer in charge, I had the maximum size of my unit could be 7 people because I was going to manage all of them. And when I'd have different things as I went through these different companies, I'd have like 4 or 5, maybe 7 reports, sometimes, but rarely 10 reports. But the reason is, if your manager has a dump truck load of reports, how much time is he giving to you? 2,000 hours in a work year. He gives each person an hour? So we're done, YouTube. We'll talk about this again later. RoninKaze out.